Lloyd Chapman here with another exciting episode of Memory Lane. I just did a video about how the Pentagon took all the information off the government's supplier database, so you can't tell if the company is small or large, so you can't expose, fraud anymore. This video is going to be about how all information on the internet that shows that small businesses create virtually 100% of all net new jobs has been removed. So, U.S. Census Bureau data has always shown that about 99% of all U.S. firms have less than 500 employees, 98% have less than 100 employees, and 89% have less than 20 employees, and the average American company has 10 employees. And the number I want you to remember here is that according to the U.S. Census Bureau, companies with 20 employees or less are responsible for over 97% of all net new jobs. A report by the Kauffman Foundation several years ago showed that large businesses, I'll say existing Fortune 500 firms, haven't created one net new job since 1980. And of course, so many of them don't pay federal income tax at all. But so I would write about this and go on, national TV and on radio and write press releases and blogs and discuss this, on a regular basis. And when I would write about it, I would link to the Census Bureau's website that showed, that the statistics that 89% of all U.S. firms have less than 20 employees, and they create over 97% of all net new jobs. And that information was on the Census Bureau website for 50 years. Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, it disappeared. I did a Freedom of Information Act request to the Census Bureau asking for the information. They wouldn't give it to me. I need to do that again and sue them and get it. So here's why it disappeared. So Fortune 500 firms pretty much own the federal government. I've seen a number of studies that said something like 97% of the time Congress passes legislation that Fortune 500 firms want, right? And that 3% of the time they do stuff that's good for the American people. Look at my issue, right? Small business, contracting fraud. Congress has never passed legislation to address that. I wrote a bill called the Fairness and Transparency in Contract Act that simply said, the United States government will not report awards to publicly traded companies as small business awards. That was introduced 3 times. It never even made it, right? So the reason the Fortune 500 firm lobby, which is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce primarily, want that information removed is Fortune 500 firms want 2 things. They want to be unregulated so they can dump, mercury in our drinking water. They want their taxes cut, which is kind of comical, by the way, because a lot of them pay 0 taxes. You're already paying 0. What do you want? You want us to give you money, right? I remember being in San Jose, about, 12, 13 years ago at an Eric Clapton concert. And the next day I was at a restaurant eating breakfast, and the front page of the paper said ExxonMobil had made the highest profits any company made in history. They made $25 billion, and they paid no federal income tax, right? Today in 2020, Amazon pays no tax, right? I don't think Apple does, But, go search on, Fortune 500 firms pay no federal income tax. So again, Fortune 500 firms want 2 things. No regulation. By the way, they call that shrinking government. Yeah. Anytime you hear someone say, oh, we need to shrink government. Yeah, they want to be unregulated so they can just completely, screw over the general public with no regulation, charge us $100 a gallon for gasoline, right? So yeah, we need some regulation on these Fortune 500 firms. And they also want their taxes cut. And their argument is that if you cut our taxes, we'll create jobs. That's their argument. When Trump first got elected, I saw that, he wants to cut the taxes for Fortune 500 firms so they can create jobs. Well, guess what? They don't create jobs. They haven't in 30 years. Fortune 500 firms haven't created 1 net new job. Yeah, Amazon's hiring, eBay's hiring, Ford's not. Carrier air conditioning, isn't, right? Look around your house. Everything, it comes from China. If you shop at Costco, everything in there is made in China. I'm shocked, by the way, food products, are made in Vietnam. I'm not going to eat any food from Vietnam, right? Hand sanitizer, made in China, right? Every electronic product in your house was made in China. And they're shipping more jobs, overseas every day, right? I remember in 2006, I was going to buy a three-quarter ton truck to pull a trailer I bought, and I looked at a Dodge and it said assembled in Mexico. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. A Dodge truck was assembled in Mexico. So Fortune 500 firms want to make more money, increase their profits, so the president can get bonuses. And the way they do that is start manufacturing things in Mexico and overseas in Taiwan. Yeah, they're not creating jobs, right? So tomorrow, fewer Americans will work for Fortune 500 firms than did today. So yeah, so Fortune 500 firms and their lobby removed all information on the internet that shows that small businesses create all the jobs. So they can bullshit people into thinking, oh, cut our taxes, we'll create jobs. Bullshit. Bullshit. Fortune 500 firms don't create jobs. And a lot of them don't pay taxes. So, yeah, it's amazing. So today, if you want to go and find the data that shows that small businesses create virtually 100% of the net new jobs, it's gone. All the stories are gone. In fact, quite frankly, what I found was the lobby for Fortune 500 firms, again, which is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they've hired people to write stories about, the what they call it, the myth that small business create jobs. So all the data from the Census Bureau that shows small business create the jobs, that's gone. And it's placed all these bullshit stories of these journalists hired by the lobby for Fortune 500 firms to write stories, the myth that small business create the jobs. Well, it's not a myth. I'll tell you one thing they did, by the way. This happened about during the Obama administration. So, what is it? 99% of all U.S. firms have less than 500 employees. So what they did was to trick people and drop that number from that small businesses create, 99% of their jobs down to 66 is they eliminated non-employer firms. That was a real slimy trick. So there's millions of small businesses that just have one guy. That's a small business, right? Does that qualify? Does one guy, is that a small business? You got small and large. Is he small or large? He's small. So what they did was they excluded what they call non-employer firms from that calculation, so they get that number down from 98 to 66. That was a real slime ball move, right? So if you see that data, you'll see that they call it employer firms create 66% of all net new jobs. No, it's like 99% of all net new jobs come from small businesses, because they're trying to exclude all those one-man operations that will become small businesses, right? When Apple started, it was two guys. Hewlett Packard, two guys, right? FedEx, one guy. So yeah, that's how the Fortune 500 firms try to dupe the public into thinking if you cut their taxes, they'll create jobs. No, they're not going to create jobs. They're just going to ship more and more jobs overseas like they've done, for a long, long time. So they've removed all small business data from the internet. You can't find it. I'm Lloyd Chapman. Thanks for watching.